on YouTube? I'm Wayne. This is Wayne's Fish World. I'm taking back my 125 gallon. I let it go. Last 2 days I've done several water changes to it. It still looks bare, but it's coming back. Water chemistry is it's not as clean as I want it to be, but it's a hell of a lot cleaner than it used to be. But let's dive into this video today, guys. Today I want to talk about the top 10 mechanical filters. Not biological filters, not chemical filters. Mechanical filters. What is a mechanical filter? A mechanical filter is something that removes the poop out of the water, the debris out of the water, the uneaten food, the dead organic material, whatever's floating around the water column. Your mechanical filter is what removes that. Your biological filter is what helps break down the ammonia into nitrite into nitrate. It breaks down to a less harmful toxin. And then you got your chemical filtration. Chemical filtration is a broad, different story. It's a very broad topic. It depends whether it's freshwater, saltwater, brackish ponds. There's so many different chemicals you can use to remove certain substance from your tank water. So today we want to talk about mechanical filtration. And I've got a cheat sheet because there's a couple points I want to touch up on. And this is pretty much in order from least effective to most effective. And you can argue with it, but I think everyone should agree with number 10. And you'll see when I get there. Alright, number 1. The least efficient mechanical filtration. It's those old rinky-dink corner filters with the floss and the carbon and the air stone. Yeah. That's a wagon driven by a horse, and today aquarium filters have GTs. Yeah, it's way in the past. I mean, it works. It's not efficient, but it does the job. You can't expect to have a heavy bioload with those things. They were mainly used for, when people kept little goldfish tanks like that, and they had the downside is they don't have enough suction, so it doesn't clean the water properly. But it does kind of act as a biological filter, if you want to put it that way. But, yeah, little corner filters, they suck ass. I wouldn't get one, unless you had like a beta. Sponge filters. Sponge filters are the next evolution in aquarium filtration. Sponge filters are great because they can serve multi-purposes. The main purpose for sponge filter, everyone knows, is when you're raising fry or baby fish. The the advantage in sponge filtration is driven by air stone. And what that means is your fry don't get sucked up. And what it also a benefit of the sponge filter, you can also seed a new aquarium. Or let's say you're doing a quarantine tank, you can have a sponge filter in your sump. Keep it in there 24/7, 365 days a year. And say you need to quarantine a tank, you can just take that sponge filter, since it's been running on your tank, and seed it with beneficial bacteria. You can take that sponge filter and put it in a quarantine tank if you have sick fish or something. People use them a lot. People use sponge filters for more than just raising fry, but I wouldn't rely on them. They do act as a beneficial bacteria colony, and other than that, it's kind of in the past. But it's great for fry. Alright, this one, some people, you're going to think I'm crazy, but this is one of the main things I want to touch up on this video. Undergravel filters. Undergravel filters, if this was a biological, top 10 biological video, then this will be up on the probably 9 or 10, because it's that great. Undergravel filtration. There's 2 ways you can run it. There's the air stone driven way, and then there's the reverse flow. Now the reverse flow is a very good method. The downside of an undergravel filter is you have a plate, okay? It's sucking all your waste to the gravel, which is good because that's your beneficial bacteria that has direct oxygen access to it is getting direct contact with all that waste, so it breaks down very well. But the only problem with that is, over the years, like say you have a tank for 10 years or so, when you go to remove that tank, you got a lot of sludge and waste you just cannot remove. But that sludge and waste, it's good waste to speak, but if it builds up too much, it can be a problem. So other than that, the good thing about undergravel filters is it pulls everything down. And I think undergravel filters should be supplemented with the next one. And the next one on my list is my all-time favorite, and I think I'm going to flip back to the Undergravel filter because they should be used together. But my all-time favorite is next on the list is the hang on the back filters. Hang on the back filters are where it's at. You can disagree with me on this, but you got just think before you leave a nasty comment. Just think. Look, what other filtration is as easy as a hang on the back filter? Okay, 2 weeks went by. Is my filter dirty? Oh yeah, it is. Take the filter cartridge, leave one in there, throw it out, pop in a new one, rinse your carbon off. You're done. That easy. Another thing I like about hang on the back filters is that they're easy and they're cheap. They do almost as good as a canister filter for a fraction of price. Note that I said almost as good. But then again, it all depends on what your mechanical filtration media is. That makes a world of difference, and I'm going to touch up on that later on the list. But what I mean by Undergravel filters and hang on the back filters should go together, because the Undergravel filters pushes everything. Even if you have a hang on the back filter, the waste is still going to find your gravel or your sand bed. The waste is still going to accumulate there. So you should still get in there with your siphon vac and clean everything out. But the mechanical filtration is going to clean the water column way better than the Undergravel filter would. So I think they should go hand in hand. The only downside of the Undergravel filter, besides the waste buildup in an amount of years, is those ugly standpipes sitting up there. And then if you do a reverse flow, you got a power head in there. Alright, the next one on my list is the box filters. The box filters are submersible filters, and you just set them anywhere in your aquarium. They've got a power head, basically, a little box with some foam and some sponge pads and some mechanical media. They're great. They're just like a hang on the back filter, but they're inside your tank. Here's the downside of that. If you have something in your tank, this ties in with canister filters too. This is why I said hang on the back filters are my favorite. When something sits in your tank for a couple weeks, you're going to forget about it. Eventually, your box filter in the tank is going to clog because it did its job. It collected waste. But you're going to neglect it because you never see it. You're probably going to hide it behind some decorations, some plants, some live rock. That way you ain't got to see it. Here's the problem. You can't see it. You're not going to worry about it, and you're going to neglect it. So box filters, they work. They're good. They're ugly. They take up space in the tank. They do their job just like hang on the back filters, but they take up space. And that's another thing with hang on the back filters. It makes an eyesore on the top of the tank. Obviously, if you have a reef system or some kind of high-tech tank, you're not going to have a hang on the back filter because you're better than that. But they just take up too much space in the back. Canister filters. Canister filters. This is the crown jewel of filtration, to speak. Canister filters. Canister filters vary just like hang on the back filters. There's a wide list of companies out there. I'm running the Fluval FX6. I am sponsored by Fluval, but out of pure honesty, Fluval's kick-ass. They really are. The canister filters are absolutely kick-ass. But the downsides with the canister filter are the same thing with the box filter that's submersible in your tank. It's a box that just sits outside your tank. Unless you can really keep up with that maintenance, over time, you're not really going to realize it, but the water flow is going to slow down because it's collecting waste. So that's something I like to see with the hang on the back filter, is you can really see easier when the water's slowing down, and some people disagree with me, but with the canister filter, just really keep up with your maintenance on cleaning it, either every 2 weeks, every month, every 2 months, all depending on your bio load. But don't be like me and only clean it 2 times a year. Just saying. If I did it, more people are going to do it too. Just saying. But other than that, canister filters are great. The only other problems I would say with them is that they have the tendency to leak. Knock on wood, I haven't had that problem with my Fluval. And I know there's a lot of great canister filters out there. And then again, sometimes you get lemons, meaning a bad batch. You know, a gasket will break that makes the thing waterproof. There will be problems. Hose will leak. They can be replaced, but things happen sometimes. Okay, the next one. This is kind of the thing of the past in saltwater. Still works for Fowler tanks. I don't use it. I never have, but they work great. Wet-dry trickle filters. They work great for monster tanks like Oscars, red devils, flower horns, arowanas. They work great for fowler tanks with flying fish, surgeonfish, triggers, and stuff like that. Basically, the concept of a wet-dry trickle filter is that you have an overflow, either it be drilled or hang on the back, and water flows down through the piping, and it goes over a sponge or floss mechanical media, and that takes the waste out, the mechanical waste, the poop, the uneaten food, the dead organic material. Then it falls down and it rains, wet, dry trickle. It trickles over these bioballs. And these bioballs, I debate about it because I believe your substrate, I guess I'm old school, but I believe your substrate should be your main source of your beneficial bacteria. But the bioballs have direct access to oxygen. The water's just raining on it, so it gets high oxygen levels, meaning you have very good beneficial bacteria, and it works. And then it flows down into a chamber where the water level's higher, and you can put a heater in there, then you put your return pump, and it just recirculates over and over and over. Only problem with the wet-dry trickle filters is two main problems. One, the bioballs, if you don't clean them, they can collect a lot of waste. Just like in salt water, when you get a hang on the back filters with the bio wheel, people are advised to take the bio wheel out because it collects waste, and that makes nitrates in factor of waste. And the same thing with the bioballs. If they're not cleaned, they can collect a little bit of waste, meaning nitrates. But then again, everything's going to give you nitrates. You can't get around it. You're just going to have to learn to adapt to it. That's one thing I've learned over the years. You're just going to learn how to adapt to it. But another thing is when these things clog, like the mechanical filtration clogs or something because you neglected it, if it floods, I hope you ain't got wood floors, buddy. Because I've been there and I've done that and it's not fun. Alright guys, the next one is up there. This is the advanced. But with the advanced, with more things will break. A sump. You can buy sumps, you can make sumps. The problem with sumps is they are a wet-dry trickle filter. So take all those ups and downs with the wet-dry trickle filter I just said and add on more components. So that means more components can break. If you do them properly and monitor them properly, they can be very rewarding. You can hide all your power equipment inside the sump and you won't ever have to see any cords or anything. And they work great. They really do. You can have refugiums in there or you name it. You can have a spot where you can raise fry in there away from the main community tank. They can really be rewarding. But the main problem with sumps is there's more moving parts and there's more tendency for things to break. Take example. The simplest form of filtration that I would get is an Undergravel filter. I don't do sponge filters or those corner filters. But an Undergravel filter, you can't break it unless you crack the plastic. You can't break it because there's nothing to break. Well, the sump has more components, so it's more likely to break. But if you maintain it well, a sump can be very rewarding. The next thing, number 9, DIY filtration. DIY filtration, if done correctly, if you know what the hell you're doing, no offense to people, but some people will go and see this video, which is absolutely stupid, no offense to people, and then they put this little bottle in a power head, and it works, but they take this bottle and they put it in a power head, then they drop it in their African cichlid tank with like 50 peacocks. It's not adequate. But if you can find a correct way that's going to work for your tank properly, DIY filtration can either save you money, sometimes it'll cost you more money, but you can really make something a hell of a lot better than manufactured if you know what you're doing. Example, I have about 10 koi. I have a DIY filtration out in my pond that runs circles around the Fluval FX6. And the main reason for that is because the filtration media I'm using in there. Remember I said that before? Your filtration media, your mechanical media will make the world of difference. If I put that same media in the Fluval FX6, I'll get the same results. And just to let you guys know what that is, that's polyester pillow fabric. That stuff is so dense, it collects to the smallest particles. Number 10. This is where everybody will agree with me. The best mechanical filtration, the best filtration is a water change. Don't get me started on this. Of course the camera cuts off, but I've been down the road where water changes are good, water changes are bad. You can live with them. You can live with them. You can live without them. Guys, bottom line, fish send out a hormone, and when there's too much of that hormone in the water, they don't grow because they know the water's bad. Also, water changes take out the bad, or they dilute the bad. And then they put back in the trace elements, the vitamins, the nutrients, everything you need for the fish to live happy and grow and just survive. Best water change, best mechanical filtration is a water change. That's what I gotta say, guys. Comment, rate, and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time. Later.